All right. Got it. Got it. All right. So first, I wanted to see who everybody is. So we have Amina, Bilal, Charles, Hassan, Caitlin, and Sheridan, I believe. So I believe that's it. So good morning. My name is Christina, and I'm with Atlantic Institute. I am the program manager for Atlantic Institute. And one of the things we thought last year that this would be a great thing for us to branch into and to teach teenagers some of these life skills, some of these valuable things that you're not going to know. And how we know that you're not going to know them is because Paula and I both have teenagers, and we've both raised teenagers. So a little bit of background on me is that I have a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old, both daughters, and I have a 7-year-old son. And so I have also fostered teen girls that were behavioral challenged issues. So they have issues. So I did a lot of work with the teen community. And I also have like 5 younger siblings that my parents adopted from foster care. So I did a lot of raising them all up and teaching them certain things. And so this morning for this class, like how to cook something not in a box, this is my 7-year-old, Liam. He's going to be the next challenge child growing up. All right, so he is been around us for 7 years, and he knows to be quiet and behave, right? Right. Yes. So I thought I have done quite a bit of teaching of different things for my kids to do, to learn. So I would go ahead and lead this first one. Now, I am usually the host, and I usually love being on this part right here where I could sit with the board behind me and I can just help. I don't normally host and actually like lead an event. So this is going to be a little bit different for me. And I'm going to try to go over some things, and I want you all to ask questions. When I want to make sure you're familiar with some tools in the kitchen, and I want to make sure that you let me know if you're not, and I'll show you how we use it and ask questions when needed. Okay, so I have this set up over here. Probably not going to come back to this computer, and I have everything else set up on my phone. A little bit about us. We live in Northeast Georgia, and we are what's the word? We do a lot of stuff ourselves out here. So we hunt and we fish. And so we also live about 20 minutes away from the town, the store. So we keep certain things on hand, and we've learned how to be creative with other things. So yeah, so get down. Okay, stop. So I thought I would share some of that, so that, because not all the time do I have stuff on hand. And I've had to learn how to cook a lot of different things. So I wanted to share it with you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move to the kitchen now.
We don't have sound. Christina, we don't have sound.
Can you hear me now? You have to meet me over there. Yes, thank you, Charles. Okay, meet me over there. All right, so what I was saying is this is my kitchen, and it's nothing spectacular. We have chickens and ducks and rabbits, and I can't think of the word. No, we're not preppers, but we do.
Right. this is the-
homesteaders. There you go. That's the word. So like, here's my pantry that I have to pull from that we built a couple of years ago. We don't have anything spectacular, like I said. And so what I wanted to do
12.
is I'm going to make what we're making is I'm going to flip my screen around here. If I can remember how to flip my screen around. Or yeah, there we go. We are making hamburger helper, but not from a box. All right. So what I did is a little bit of prep beforehand. This is actually ground deer and beef. So we have beef fat. So we do our own meat in here. But so what I'm gonna do is I made this is like 2 or 3 pounds of beef or meat, I'll just say, and I'm going to divide this into 4s, and I'm gonna make like 4 or 5 different dishes. All right. So I'm gonna show you how I can do this stuff. And I have chicken over here that I'm cutting up. Now, because I don't know everybody's situation, I wanted to show you, you have to lower the volume over there because I can't hear my echo. I did boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I got them for $4.32. So a lot of times right now, the price of groceries is really, really high. And I was trying to come up with a way to make something inexpensive for you so that you guys can see. So I have Michaela over here. She's my 19-year-old, and she's actually in culinary school. So I like to think that maybe I taught her enough of something that she can, that she's learning and taking it with her. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is finish prep. So what we did is this is like 32 ounces. Remember, 16 ounces is a pound. Or no, I'm sorry, 8 ounces. I forget. 16 ounces is a pound. All right. Yep. So this is enough pasta that's going to go in with this meat. And I'm going to choose different ways that I'm going to make different things for it. Okay. When I cook, I don't normally use any ingredients, any recipe. I just come up with what I have at the time. All right. So here, I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to one more time. And I'm going to finish the chicken. I'm going to get the chicken cooked. It's an important process. I know. Hand sanitation is an important process, and you want to wash your hands when dealing with meat. Okay, so yeah, that'll be our little thing. All right. So we have our so I was gonna do this all ahead of time, and then I thought, let me just do some of this now. So these are boneless, skinless chicken thighs, which was great, which is a substitute that I use sometimes for white meat because it's a lot cheaper. And so we clean it up. We cut out what we don't need. All right, so tell me, while I'm doing this, can you guys unmute yourself, and some of you tell me what you cook, or do you cook at home, and like what you make already? I'd love to hear from some of you guys, and tell me what it is that you do and cook. Now and let me know, because I can't see, so let me know what your name is and let me know who you are. If you'd like to share, I'd like to hear from like.
My name is Morgan Ludwig, and one time I cooked pizzas.
Okay, cool.
Homemade pizzas.
Cool. Did you make the crust from scratch, or did you buy the crust in the store?
We took some bread, like French bread, and sliced it from Walmart.
Oh, nice. You made like French bread pizzas.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, so I'm just going to show you like, I'm just cutting all this up real quick, and I'm going to have my girls do some of the prep on it so that I'm not just the only one sitting here doing this the whole time. But I'm cutting it into like bite-sized pieces because I'm going to mix this with pasta and a sauce. And so this is the reason why that we do some of this stuff is sometimes the stuff that you get in the store, if you're not near a store and you have to make something, it's what are you going to make? So it helps. What I'm doing is cutting off some of the bone pieces that are still in here when they mechanically separate it all. So it helps to be able to have some kind of creativity. Also, the boxed food that you get, like the hamburger helper style stuff, all that kind of stuff, has a lot of preservatives in it, and it has a lot of chemicals in it. It's used, the chemicals are there because they're making the shelf, it's shelf stable. So that means it can sit on your shelf for a really long time without going bad. So if you read like your box of cereal, it'll say there's BHT and BHA added, and those both are anti-caking agents that keep your food from sticking together and from spoiling and going bad. So it's really important to try to not eat from the inside of the grocery store as much as possible, and you're better off eating from the outside of the grocery store, which we call that like the perimeter of the store, and you're better off eating from like the produce section, the fruit section, the meat section is all back there, the dairy section. All of your main food groups are in the back of the store. No room. All your main stuff is at the back, around the perimeter of the store. So I know Morgan told me what she's made before. Can anybody else let me know what they've made in the past, or have you helped your parents cook in the kitchen? I know there was Charles on there and Amina on there, and Paula, I don't know if you can tell me if anybody else new has joined.
We have, I can't say some of these names. I apologize. We have Daisy and Bila and Hassan, JT, Caitlin, Monica, Rania, Sheridan.
Very cool. All right, so anybody new that's joined, my name is Christina, and I am making a couple of different dishes here with just a few simple ingredients, just to show you guys how to make something that's not in a box and why it's important. So right now I'm just cutting up chicken thighs. I bought them because they're much cheaper than me trying to buy white meat chicken tenders. It just takes a little bit of work, but these were boneless and skinless, so it's not that much work for me to do. This was, let me show you guys something, because sometimes my kids, I've had to teach them this. This is $3.98 a pound, and so the regular price is $6.93. And so what the price the price per pound is $2.48. So sometimes I've had to teach my girls to know how much this is in weight. It's $2.48 a pound. Oh, that's the card price, I'm sorry. So this would be the regular price. So this is about 2 pounds of meat. And right over here, it says 1.74. So you want to get that you're going to have about a half a pound of meat per person when you cook something. So we have 5 people. So I always try to get something about 1.25 pounds or a little bit greater. That way I know I have leftovers when it's leftover time, or I have enough for if somebody needs extra, they have extra. But not everybody knows how to read the label. So it's a really important thing to learn how to do. And I've had to teach my girls how to do that when they go shopping. A half a pound to 3/4 of a pound, a half a pound of meat is probably enough for people, for most families. And
This is Charles. Good afternoon, or good
good
morning.
afternoon, Charles. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm listening in on behalf of my daughter, who just turned 15.
Okay.
And she does cook a little bit for herself in the house, but I'm trying to get more ideas to give her thoughts. But I think that's a key point that you kind of mentioned just now, is teaching our kids how to read labels, both most importantly, what's in the product they're buying, especially if they venture into the center of the store where everything's
Right.
processed. That's important to know, is what's in it, and it's kind of scary and concerning when you look at what's actually in the ingredient boxes anymore. But also, when you want to price compare, the prices, they have sales on this or that's on sale, but when you want to actually find out, it's good to get an idea of what the price per pound is.
Right.
You find
Absolutely.
a good price for something, so over time you'll get an idea in your head, like, this may be on sale, but the price per pound is X, and that's actually a good deal or not a good deal, because you can get distracted by the sale signs and things like that.
Absolutely. I've had to teach them I've had to teach them to look at to know what they're buying and how much they're getting, because we need to know if enough meat. Like they might go in the store and see something, because I'll send them in the store. One of my girls are about 12 and or so. I've learned by working with a lot of foster teen girls that I work with, that by the age of 12, I should be able to send you into the store with my card, and I can sit in the parking lot, and you should be able to go in and buy milk and bread and eggs and something else. Just, but you should be able to buy some of the simple stuff. And so I've worked a lot independently on independent skills with my kids to be able to do stuff like that. So I'm just gonna show you guys one other thing. I want you to see where I have the temperature at over here. I have this set at 5. This is off, this is off. But when you cook on especially an electric stove like this, you don't need to cook anything higher than 5. All right. If you cook higher than that, you're going to burn stuff. We go up to 5, or we cook on high when we're boiling water. So you don't need to go any higher than 5. You want to go low and slow on some things. If you try to rush it and go up here, you're going to end up burning things. So I'm going to also, a really good thing to know, metal and coated pans do not go well together. Somebody in here has been using some metal on this pan, and this was a pan that we just bought a little bit ago, and it's already scuffed it up. So on a metal pan, on a coated pan, you only use plastic. Your parents will kill you if you use metal on a coated pan. Okay? Let's just make sure that you fully understand that. All right, so I put a little bit of oil in here, and I'm going to go ahead and just cook up this chicken. While I was trying to prep a lot ahead of time, I thought at least some of this I could do while we're here, so that I could talk while something's cooking. I want you to know I did leave, so when you cut up some of this stuff, you leave some of the fat on it, because the fat, it will grease up your pan and also gives the food some of the flavor. What I cut out sometimes with some of the big sections of fat, because nobody wants to bite into a big section of fat on their chicken. And I cut out some of the bone pieces. When you get to cut up some of your own meat, it gives you a little bit more control in what you can eat. So like we do deer in here, we do rabbit, we do, we've done pig in the past from what we've hunted. So it gives us a little bit more control in what we cook. So, and so you're a little bit more familiar with when we cut up our food, what we're looking at when we're cutting up meat. All right, so anything that had chicken on it, like that, or beef, if it had meat on it, all that goes in there, and you get a sink and get the cutting board. All right. One really good prep knife. So I usually just wash it.
You did make a really good point there also about the heat. It's tempting, especially for new cooks or people who haven't been cooking as long, as when you want to like crank up the heat on the pan to get it warmed up faster, which is not good for the pan, especially if it's coated with anything nonstick. It's actually bad for you, bad for the pan to overheat those. And you're right, you don't need to go much above middle, the center of the dial, especially when you're cooking it.
So I do, okay, let's leave it over and leave going on. All right, yes. So I do a lot of cooking, especially on the stove. In my cast iron pans, and I have a good selection of those. They're a lot healthier to cook in, and they get hot. They distribute a lot more heat faster. So I don't have to go much higher ever really than 5, because they do get hotter. I'm sorry, guys, just so you know, the lighting is really not great here. Yeah, you might need to move. Okay, so let me think for a second. While this is cooking up, I want to, here, Marina, I want you to go ahead and cook around the chicken. So I have this beef done. Did you guys strain this? No. Okay. Yeah, I soaked it up. All right, so we have a mega pan in here because there's a lot of us. So what I have done is spread it across 2 burners. So I'm gonna warm this up for a second. When you are cooking meat, you want to strain the fat out. You don't want to strain the fat out into the sink. So you don't want it going down your sink because it will clog up your plumbing. All right, because fat, once it goes down in the pipes, it will get thick and hard, and nothing. It will clog up your pipes. And we have a well here, and we have a septic tank, so we're always pretty cautious about what goes in there. So I'm just going to, yeah, I'm going to just let this warm up for a second, and trying to think what I'm going to do. I think I'm right there. All right. Step up for a second. All right, I'm going to do a couple of pots. I just always rinse everything out, make sure it's all clean and good before I use it. I'm gonna just put some meat and pasta in each one of these, just so I can help break it up. And then I'm gonna add to it. And we're gonna do one with chicken and pasta. So we're gonna do like a meat. I'm gonna organize myself. So I'm gonna do just a regular meat and pasta. Did not go get any. I was at the store yesterday and I kind of drew a blank to what to put in here. And I kind of thought I'll just do what I do at home, is I just kind of grab what I have in the kitchen to make with. So I've got meat and pasta in this one. We will do meat, tomatoes, pasta, and probably some corn and something else in this one. And then I will do we're just pulling out every pot over here in the kitchen today. Yay. Michaela says yay because Michaela is the one that does the dishes around here. So I cook and she does the dishes. So I'm gonna stick the chicken in this one. And then I'm gonna make a sauce to go with the chicken. And Marina's gonna make a cheese sauce. And we have about 30 minutes left. So get your ingredients out to make your cheese sauce. All right, while this is cooking and while that's warming up, I wanted to do this that we may or may not use. And this is because I've had to teach the kids in here how to do this stuff. This is a garlic press. All right. So fresh garlic is really good and healthy for your food, but not everybody has one of these. And this is you can sit there and you can chop little pieces of garlic up, but you can sit here and this right here, we'll put a clove of garlic in and squeeze it in. And it will showing some of this just because not everybody knows this stuff. There was something else that I thought of too. So I'm going to cut the top of this off. And I'm going to peel the garlic off. You want to show the trick? So Michaela's in culinary school, so I've encouraged her that she's able to show us what she wants to show. All right, because sometimes peeling garlic cloves can be a little annoying. So, yep. I'm going to do this one so you can see how I can struggle and do this one. And then we'll let Michaela do a clove of garlic so you can see how she does it using her trick. All right, so this works great. Yes. because what you do is you stick your clove of garlic in there and this goes down on it. And if you watch right here, it'll completely mash it through. So that way you're not cutting it all up. When you cook with the garlic, you have a slight flavor of it. When you put fresh garlic in something, you have a full flavor of it. So, so we do like that. And then I am frugal, so I always just take the pieces of garlic that are in there out as well, because I just want it mashed up. I don't need it to like not be in there. So I usually go like that. Now they make this little tool, just so you know, because I've had, and you push it through the other side. You have it handy because Michaela struggles cleaning this all the time. So we might have it handy, and she can show you how she's cleaned it in the past. All right, so here, go ahead and get a clove of garlic. And we'll let Michaela show you how she does this easier. And I just gotta warm this up to get some of the grease to separate from it, because people don't like greasy food and it upsets your stomach if it's too greasy. All right, so if we cut the end off and then she presses it down. And so you press on it, which separates the skin. Aha, there you go. And then it's probably much easier. Probably looked a lot easier. What do I do with the press? There it is. Go ahead. You're gonna cut the end off it? I did, I cut the end off mine. We have it on video, I can play it back. All right, and while we're here, can you go ahead and get an onion chopped up for me? All right. And it smells really good in here right now. So I do use garlic and onion and everything. All right, there you go. All right, I'll go ahead and get an onion. And let's get it chopped up. Now, I cheated and I made all my pasta ahead of time. This is what we're gonna, I told everybody we're eating this all for dinner tonight, so it's getting a little bit, it's been here for a little bit. So I told everybody we're eating like 4 different things. Let's check the chicken. All right. There you go. It's almost done. It's really important. You always want to make sure that you cook everything thoroughly. All right. Even though they process this all in factories and they have inspectors, you still are the final step to this. So you're still the final inspector. So, you know, you never know, something can get completely missed, which happens anytime you're processing large amounts of food. So you want to just make sure that you've turned it over a couple of times, that it's completely finished. It still has a little bit more to go. You always can put a lid on it. Putting a lid on it will create more moisture in the pan. I don't, because part of cooking for us is warming up the house. And so part of this also just helps to kind of steam and warm up the house. But and if you keep the lid off of it, you'll see there's not as much fluid in here. If you put the lid on it, you're going to create more fluid. All right, just a good thing to know in case you're, you know, down the point you want to sear something or you want to cook something really well. All right, I'm coming over here to this part of the kitchen to see what Marina's doing. She is going to make a cheese sauce for us. She likes this macaroni and cheese that we make, a homemade macaroni and cheese. And she's learned, so what we're going to do today, so we've never done it before, is she's making a cheese sauce. Here's her ingredients. It's a baked mac and cheese with cream cheese. So she's making the sauce for it. And then we're actually going to put that in one of the meat and pasta dishes. Show a cutting style. So here, Michaela's going to show you how to cut an onion. So she already cut the top off. She's going to cut it down the center. And she gets to use her culinary knives she has from school. All right, so she's gonna chop up the onion. And she's gonna show you, sometimes when you've never chopped up an onion before, you don't know what the heck you're doing, you don't know what to do. So the best thing to do is cut it from top to bottom. So you have the top here and the bottom here. All right, and then flip it over. You wanna cut the edge off? All right, and then go ahead and do slices. And then give me a word. I don't want to say julienne. We don't want it. We want it in squares. I want it in little and tiny squares. Somebody show me your cutting skills. Yeah, tiny squares. So first she's going to cut it lengthwise. She's been doing this a lot in school, so. So if you see, she's cutting layers in it like that first. All right, and then going down across while holding it all together still. You totally don't have to be this good because I don't ever cut it in those layers, those cross layers. But she has to cut things super small and she has to cut a lot of different things. So then she's cut it both ways and now she's going to chop this way. Nice. I had her make me some chicken salad one time and she actually cut the carrots incredibly tiny. I thought she shredded them and she didn't. So, small, nice little squares. Good job. Well, that's great. All right, you stop there because it's starting to get hard over that way. In a culinary kitchen, none of that goes to waste. So that would end up becoming part of a vegetable stock. For us, that would go to the chickens or the ducks and they'll eat some of that. All right, coming back over here. Chicken is looking good. It's almost done. All right. Now, and I do believe this is good and I can go ahead and strain this because I'd like to go ahead. It is 11:38. I'd like to go ahead and get some stuff strained. So it's just something to know. I am straining this, but because it's deer for us, we eat a lot of deer. This is mixed with like beef fat. We actually can control how much fat we put in our meat, but deer is very lean. So that's why there's not a lot of fat. When you guys get your beef from the store, you're going to have a lot more fat. All right. So there's 3 kinds of beef that you get. Let me just turn this around for a second because I did want to make sure I told you. There is 3 kinds of meat that you get at the store. There is 90-10, there's 80-20, and there's 73-27. All right. So when you are looking at meat in the store and you're having to go shop for stuff yourself and stay on a budget, and you go, oh, look, this 73-27 is really cheap. All right. Just know that means 73 is how much lean meat and 20% is how much fat is put in. 80-20 is 80% lean meat and 20% fat. And then 90-10 is 90% lean meat and 10% fat. All right. So the 90-10 is always going to cost more because there's actually more meat in it. The 80-20 is the mid-range meat that what normally everybody buys. All right, that means you're not going to have a ton of fat. You still will have liquid fat in the pan, but not a ton. And then 73-27 means that pound that you buy is probably going to end up shrinking to a half a pound. Because by the time you get all of that fat out of the meat, when you cook it, it's not, a lot of it's going to shrink away. All right, so those are 3 things that are really important when buying meat. And to know that there's 90-10, which is like sirloin mixed with brown meat, fat. We go to the store and we actually buy fat from them when they're processing their meat in the store. They have fat, so we buy all the bags of fat and then we grind it here into our deer, because deer is very, very lean. There's not a lot of fat at all, and you need to have some fat in your life. Okay, you need to have some fat in the stuff that you're cooking. It adds flavor, it's healthy for you, and it adds moisture to the meat. Otherwise you'd have some really, really dry meat. So if you, yeah, you can use this pan. Yep. Okay. So we have to switch around some pans here. So hold on a second, because you know, I don't normally cook 5 dishes at once. So hold on one sec. All right. So she's got all her ingredients prepped and ready. Go ahead. Question.
Can you show the recipe sheet again?
Yep, I can. And I know, Charles, I think I just saw you say if we could post a link to it. Baked mac and cheese with cream cheese. I don't remember where we got this from. I think it was an allrecipes.com thing. We can try to find it and put it in there. We don't put that, those 2 things highlighted, that tablespoon of hot sauce and that tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Something else I wanted to show you guys, because not everybody knows, on a recipe, like they have made this definitely more mainstream, like TSP means teaspoon and TBSP means tablespoon. But when you get older recipes, it's going to have a little t for teaspoon and a big T for tablespoon. So when you look at other recipes besides the ones that have been created the past 10 years or so, you're going to see a big T and a little t. All right. I'm sorry, I just said a big T. She corrected me to a capital. I mean, it is a capital T. So she's got her stuff over here prepped and ready to go. Let me give you this back up over here. All right. So right here.
Hello, Christina.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, it's Daisy's mum. Daisy's a little bit shy. You were asking earlier about what Daisy likes to cook. Like the previous person that spoke, we do French bread pizzas as well. So we basically get a French stick, cut it in half, and we make up a tomato, an onion, and herb sauce in a saucepan. And then we spread that over the French bread and put some cheese or mushrooms or peppers on top of it and put it into the oven.
Nice.
She also does macaroni cheese as well. I don't know if it's the same sort of style that you're going to do, but she makes it with a roux, which is putting flour and butter together, the same amounts.
Yep, we're going to make a roux too.
Yeah, adding some milk and some cheese, boiling up a pan of pasta and then stirring it all together. What else do you like to do? Other meals have you made? Oh yeah, and I think you're possibly making bolognese there.
Right.
So we're in Scotland in the UK, and the way that we buy our meat here is we either have 5% fat, 10% fat, or 23% fat.
Wow.
And we tend to use the lower amount as well. But for some things, you do need to have fat, and it's not good to cut off all the fat in food because, as you know, Christina, some of the vitamins that we have, they are actually soluble in fat.
Right.
So if we get rid of all of the fat, then our bodies can't absorb the vitamins.
Right.
And it also helps with flavor and binding the textures together in food. So fat's not always bad, but too much of it. So it's about learning the balance of what's good and bad fats as well. But we're enjoying watching you.
Thank you. All right, I'm improvising. So I do strain it sometimes, my meat sometimes into another pan because believe it or not, I can put that fat with some oatmeal and feed that to the chickens that we have. We get really good eggs that way. So I'm improvising, plus Marina needs that pan over there, that big pan to make her roux and her sauce. All right, I'm gonna stick that pan over there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just really easy, you know, instead of making so you're not familiar, like over here in the US, I don't know about in Scotland, but we make a lot of boxed foods, and a lot, especially if you live in a city, you might make a lot of boxed foods or you might make a lot of quick foods. So I'm going to just put, I'm going to start with some meat. I really wanted a different, you want this one. So, I mean, just a simple thing. So I'm trying to go off of what's something you can make. I used to do like cooking sprees, and I'd have like one day a week, I'd cook like 4 meals. Because if I was in the kitchen cooking, I figured I might as well just go ahead and cook. So, you know, that's what I would do. So I have, you know, I'm trying to come up with something simple that I think teenagers can do or kids can do. And so browning some meat and making some pasta for me is a simple thing. And definitely, I think we started off with pizza. Pizzas are really simple. Kids like it to make it. It has a lot of ingredients, like simple ingredients, big ingredients. They get to pick and choose what they want to put in it. So it works really well like that. But I also know that like sometimes I'm thinking like college kids or younger adult kids might be on the call here and need to know how to make something healthy that's good for them, that isn't necessarily always running to the store, and you're kind of tied to whatever the price is of what you want to make. So here's a pretty good equal ratio of just meat and pasta. So I put that together, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put sauce on that. I mean, that's just a really simple beginner. That's a really simple beginner's thing. And I want to call this like a hamburger helper, because to me it is. I mean, it's also, for me, it's also a casserole. If I had more time, I'd add some cottage cheese in here and definitely make it more of like a casserole. But sometimes you can just eat a very simple meat, pasta, and some sauce. I am a light sauce person. I know Michaela over here is dying because she's a heavy sauce person. And I do make my own sauce, but I was not using it for this today, just to make this easier. So this is a really simple thing. The thing that you can add to this would be cottage cheese and some regular shredded cheese, which I have here, but I'm not adding the shredded cheese yet, just in case I don't have enough for the cheese yet, for the other stuff we're doing. So that's a really simple thing. And I think you called that what, a bolognese, right? I forget who it was that was from Scotland.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, tomatoes, onions, and some sort of herbs, but yeah, jars as well. And the other thing that we do is if because we've got a big family, and meat's expensive, so you can bulk it with other proteins. So sometimes we'll put in kidney beans, just out of a tin, and that just makes it stretch a little bit further and makes it a little bit cheaper.
Right. Yes, you can put kidney beans in here. You can do we have frozen peas and carrots. So sometimes you can put peas and carrots in it. I do have this. So this is like a very simple 3 things, right? And you can add, I didn't add the onion yet, or the garlic. I mean, I typically would, and you can cook this, or this would be done. This would be done if somebody wanted something quick, like if you're in college and you needed something quick, this could be done. You can add, like you said, like the kidney beans in there to help stretch it further. You can add cottage cheese, or like ricotta is what people, so ricotta cheese is the optimal thing, but if ricotta is sometimes very difficult to find, the substitute for that was ricotta cheese, and you add like an egg to it and some Italian seasoning would be the Italian way of doing it. So there's that. And then let's see, this one has the garlic in it, and this one will have the onion in it. And so the garlic and the onion, and then we have the meat in that one. And so then we have so there's the onion and the meat and the garlic. So a lot of times you could cook the onion and the garlic. You would cook the onion and the garlic with the meat. It helps. And then what we do is we add, just instead of having too much, if you don't have sauce, you can just add diced tomatoes. I do have these canned from my garden also, but I didn't, trying to make this easier to throw together versus opening all sorts of jars of stuff here. Because I'm trying to show how you can make it with just stuff from the store. So this is just a can of diced tomatoes that we put in here. I might just put that much and just see. And this would be like more of, oh, like a goulash. I do believe that would be like a goulash type of thing. All right, and I will probably throw cheese. Yeah, cheese will go in here, but actually, so my girls will cringe because, and I'm just doing this for the sake of the time right now. I can cook this all in a little bit, but I actually will do. Yes, I will cook it. Frozen peas and carrots. They hate me. They hate when I put peas and carrots and stuff. But it's actually a very Turkish thing that they'll put peas and carrots, and I've done a fair amount of Turkish cooking. Just because that's done. Yeah, sorry. So, and then I'll cook that with some cheese in it. Cheese always makes everything better. But I do that to give it some vegetables, because sometimes I have picky eaters, and so if I have it all in one thing, they get it all together, and it's kind of like a goulash. And you can add, if for more of a goulash, you would add the kidney beans as well. All right. So we're gonna have a very fanciful dinner tonight. Very good. I have to cook all of these a little bit for all of us. All right. Now let's swap this. Put that right there. I'm gonna move. Here. All right, Marina is going to start her roux over here, and I will come over there in a second. But I will say one thing we have not done before is I'm not I need a pot for this.
No, you got
Hold on. I know I got all the pots up. Oh, sorry, pots.
Dishwasher's gonna love you.
I know. All right. So let me just go like right here with this pot. I'm going to go ahead and put the chicken in here. And the chicken is pretty much, and we did leave it a little bit. We kind of forgot as we were doing the other stuff, so I don't really have to pour any grease out of this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put chicken and pasta in here. Michaela, go over that way and let Marina say what she's doing.
Yes, Marina.
I'm just cooking down the butter right now. Add the butter first, and then once that's done, I'll add the 4 tablespoons of flour. And I know this is metal though, but you have to use a whisk.
Yes, you have to use a whisk. Okay, a whisk is okay. A whisk is not typically going to scratch a pan. A pan. This is a ceramic inside, I think, too. Anyway, I don't remember. But she's gonna cook down. She's gonna make a roux. All right. So a roux is melted butter. It's butter and flour, equal parts of butter and flour, just like you were saying earlier. When you learn how to make a roux, you can do all sorts of things with a roux. All right. So you can make, like she's making a cheese sauce. So you can make a cheese sauce like she's making. You can also make, we have here in the South, we do biscuits and gravy. So we make a sausage gravy out of the beginning of a roux. What I will tell you, I make a sauce over here when I don't have, it's tough for me to keep a white sauce, like an Alfredo sauce. You don't want to look at the pan, you want to look at me. It's tough to keep a white sauce over here. And I do use white sauce and red sauce, but I do sometimes use white sauce a little bit more because if you have reflux, it's easier to have a white sauce. So what I do is what I've started to do, and I did grab it. I don't know if I have time really to do it, but I was going to do it with one of these pastas. Is I have done a roux of butter and flour, and then I've added a little bit of milk or half and half. I also have half and half. And if you go to the dollar store, my boyfriend loves going to the dollar store and buying things. And I think it's a bachelor thing. I think so he gets these herb and garlic marinades. And so what I've done is I started to make a roux, and I use a little bit of hot, a little bit of milk, and then I use almost a whole bottle of this, or half a bottle. And I make a white sauce that is really good with it. And I was going to show that, but I think I'm out of pots and pans and space. And Marina's making her roux for her cheese sauce. So, but I've thrown other stuff. So if you are the parents on the call, have you ever made anything with a roux, started off and then made like a sauce similar like this? And I've actually taken this and I've put the rest of that red tomato in with the sauce and onion, and I've made like a really good sauce. So I'm curious, has anybody made something like that that they know of that they'd like to share? All right, and so, and you make it, it's the bechamel sauce, which we've made that before for some Turkish dishes. So Marina is.
I just added the 4 tablespoons of flour because the butter was fully melted. Since it is a big pan, it's all going to the sides.
Move this out of the way so you can use a little space there.
I add the 3 cups of milk. Let's add together first. Sometimes it's messy.
Let me just help you for a second. So sometimes every once in a while we might go up to 6 on the temperature just because we need to get a little bit of a boil going in something. So it's what was that?
Half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Yeah, because it's such a big pan, it doesn't really heat up fast.
All right, and just a mom tip, if you're always make sure you know where your handles are on your pans,
Someone burned.
because like these, if they go over the burner, like on that side, if it goes over the burner, it's going to burn the handle and melt it. So you want to make sure, especially if you're using gas. Some of you guys have gas stoves. We just have an electric stove. And I've heard actually that everybody's going to electric now.
It's supposed to simmer for 4 minutes.
I've heard that people are now going to electric, actually induction stoves now instead. All right, so then she's going to time it and simmer it for 4 minutes. While she's doing that, yeah, here, hold that. I'm going to go ahead and over here I have chicken, and I'm going to go ahead and add the pasta to it. Everybody has their own style in the kitchen. Mine is always I rinse stuff off before I use it, just because I'd like to know it's clean right before using it with food, even though it might sit there and be clean.
This is terrible lighting. Jeez.
So I'm not going to have time because she's making that. And I'm going to have another thing. She's making that sauce. Well, actually, that sauce can go in this, and it can go in the other one. So we'll just do it for that. I was going to show you how I made a sauce using this marinade. All right, go ahead. It is fun trying to do this and cook. So here I mixed up. You can watch her and me. I mixed up a portion of the chicken and the pasta in here as well. So I think that pasta was probably about $2. The chicken here was $4, let's just say let's just say 1 pound of ground beef is like $6 and probably American, right? So I've made, and then let's just say a can of tomatoes. I'm just gonna say I've probably spent $20. I'm trying to come up with stuff that's can be inexpensive for a teenager to eat, that uses all the ingredients. So I'm thinking I've probably spent about $20. This I will end up adding some more onion to, and that cheese sauce, I think, because when she makes this sauce, it makes a bit of sauce. All right, now she's going to go.
Cutting
And-
it up so it melts easier.
So this is room temperature cream cheese. We've
We've used
had it out for about an hour.
we've used cold too. It works fine with cold. It just takes a little more stirring. Because let's be honest, we all forget to take out the ingredients first. So you can use cold.
But what we've learned, what I've taught her is it's going to be cold, you need to cut it up more. Cut it up into smaller pieces so that it melts faster in here. Oh, never mind. Okay. So we have that. And I know we're at 12 o'clock. If you have any thoughts or questions while she's still doing this, I think you guys probably would love to watch a teenager actually make this. So I'm going to keep going with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to this. So this will be a cheesy, it's going to be a different than what I wanted because I did want to do that with this, but I should have probably prepped a little bit better to do that. So I'm going to do that I'm going to add the cheese sauce to this, and I'm going to add the cheese sauce to the meat and cheese, which I still have a ton of pasta left. So I'm going to divvy up here, hold these for a second. And I'm going to just add some more. It's all hard and yuck. I'm going to add a little bit more into this one. And I'm going to add another scoop of this over here. That's what we're eating for the next 2 days, people. Right now, with the way groceries are, I don't know how they are in the UK, with the way, or wherever else in the world you might be tuning in from, but with the way groceries are, I know like we're trying to figure out different things that we can make that last. So we've got that. And then, all right, go ahead. And then here, we just turn it down for a second. Done. Whisk that up for a second so it doesn't burn it on the sides there. You have to whisk it. No.
Mommy,
Okay, I'm still working. I'm still working. Yeah, no, I'm still working. Not, you're not, no, nothing right now. Just hold on. I've got plenty of food here. You can eat in a minute. Yeah, and you can see like she's using the whisk to help cut it up a little bit. I'm kind of letting it get a little dark so you can see the white in the pan, but she is using the whisk to kind of cut it up a little bit more. You're welcome, Amina. I wanted to shoot, I don't know how many people are still on here. Okay. But I wanted to share one other tool that that not everybody knows about. This is, and I've taught Michaela, this is a double boiler. So sometimes you can make a sauce, sometimes, but when we melt chocolate, we use a double boiler. This sits in a pot with boiling water underneath it. And this helps to softly cook the food without burning it, so that it keeps it kind of safe from burning it. It helps to cook like sauces. Sometimes you can do quick sauces, different things in that. So that's what that is too. I've used this, yeah, we use this for hollandaise sauce, and we've also used this to melt chocolate. And it sits like a pot, but it sits in a pot that's smaller than this. See how it has this hook on the end? So it sits with the hook on the end over a pot. And then you boil the water below it so that what's heating it is actually the hot water. So it's not as harsh of a heat as an electric heat or a gas heat. And it just melts what you need. All right. What's this called again? This is a cheese sauce.
A
So-
roux.
This is a roux. So this was a roux. We started out as a roux. It's butter and flour, equal parts butter and flour. And then you add to it milk. You add to it cheese. You add to it cream cheese. You can add to it, like I did, that herb marinade. So now she's adding 2 cups of mild cheddar cheese.
Mild cheddar.
And then she's adding
2 cups of mozzarella.
2 cups of mozzarella. And after that, her cheese sauce is done. Just got to cook it up.
We all make mistakes.
All right. And then it's going to melt. She's going to cook it all together. It has really come in handy for us to have a huge pan to make stuff
The
like
other
this.
pan, like, starts to
The
come
other
out.
pan stuff was coming off the side. So it really does help to have this.
Suggest you get a big pan.
Especially if when you make certain things, everybody likes it, you make a lot of macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, that's
So what we would typically do is take this sauce and just put it with macaroni and then cooked macaroni, mix it all together, and then put it in the oven and cook it for 45 minutes. We put breadcrumbs on top and then cook it for about 45 minutes. And it's mac and cheese. It's like a pan of macaroni and cheese. Okay, but this time we wanted to just make the sauce and go ahead and make one of these like a meat macaroni and cheese. So Michaela, can you hold this for a second? And then here, film her for a sec. All right, and I'm going to just pour the rest of this. All right, and you see Marina's big pan of cheese she's got going over there. All right, and then this would be where you're gonna have to switch spoons because you're gonna stir that cheese into this meat and cheese. And you can tell by how she's cooking it there, how strong it is. And she's already turned the burners off so that it doesn't burn. But you can tell how strong it is, how thick, that you're gonna need a wooden spoon to stir that in. For sure. And you wanna go ahead, she'll pour some and then I'll stir.
What's good though is it's so thick, so like doesn't make a big mess.
Yeah.
It kind of stops on its own.
All right. Let's stop there and we'll stir that in right now. Let's see how that goes. And all of these pots are going to sit on my stove and cook for probably another 20 minutes just to kind of meld all the flavors together. So as an adult, I cheat and I do a lot of this stuff in the Instapot. But for today, I will go ahead and just cook all of this on the stove. And I am out of Italian seasoning. I am an Italian seasoning person and I'm out. So I will end up seasoning stuff with just whatever we have here. Oh, cool. We did just get more Italian. Awesome. Cool. It's good.
Hi, Christina.
Hey.
Hey, I'm just thinking to myself, all of these recipes that you're doing, they're really, you're making a big batch of it.
Yes.
But a teenager could get little bowls or little boxes and portion this off. And then you
Absolutely.
keep them in the freezer and pop them in the microwave when you just want a snack.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for that reason, even if you're going to do that, I wouldn't heavily season. Like I just did Italian seasoning and everything, but I would even not do that so much. Just because when you microwave something, it loses some flavor. So when you eat it, then season it with some fresh seasoning on there just to kind of give it a better flavor too. But yes, and because I do have 5 people and because I'm trying to show you guys the versatility of just adding another ingredient or taking away, I'm making quite a bit. You can make this smaller. And I'm sorry, I can't do the math on that. But a lot of it, if you can see what I've done, is just visual. Here, Marina, go ahead and pour more in here. So what I'm gonna, we made the cheese sauce. We're gonna go ahead and add some more. All right, that's good right there, because I want that left over right there. I want you to go ahead and put it on a burner and add this to it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can make something different for the chicken and pasta. All right, so the good thing I watched a lot of TV shows growing up where they made stuff as they went down the line. So, and they just left stuff strewn everywhere. I feel like Regis and Kathy like
The tornado.
I feel like a tornado came through the kitchen. Yep. And we're done with this. They have to go practice piano because they have piano lessons at 3. So I'm gonna be cooking for a bit. All right. So here, let's turn this back on for a second. Do what? No, like 5 or 4 because it's already fun. I just want to warm it up. Put that double boiler somewhere else. Okay, this over here. I'm making a little bit different. I want to go ahead and do that. This is a cheese sauce with a roux. So I mean, this is pretty good. The way it is might be what I would make. Anyway, so let's just go ahead and add some of this. They're gasping and holding their faces, and I'm going to add some. So typically I wouldn't think to add like an Italian dressing or herb and garlic marinade to a cheese sauce, but I played with it. Sometimes I add some sour cream to them. Sometimes I add some half and half to them, but this is actually really good. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of that to it, especially when using it on a chicken. Where's the that I'm ruining her cheese sauce. So it's just a little bit of it, but it gives it a different flavor. Don't be afraid when you're cooking. And I think that's the thing, is don't be afraid to add some stuff if it's just kind of create an experiment. Because cooking is all an experiment. Science, baking is a science, and cooking is an experiment. Michaela, my oldest, has been in her bread baking class now. So she's been making loaves of bread and bringing them home. And she has learned that I've said cooking is an experiment and baking is a science. So see how it kind of like it did a lot of the work for me. I didn't have to cut up and add a bunch of seasonings and do a bunch of stuff. And it's made a really nice flavorful sauce. And it does smell good, right? Yeah. As I'm saying, I would probably add some Parmesan cheese to it. Just I have bought the cans of Alfredo sauce at the store, and we just don't like them. We're just not a fan of them. They have a very flat taste. And this tends to be a lot more flavorful. Like you could add sun-dried tomatoes to here if you were, if it was summertime, I have fresh basil and oregano from the garden. So I'd add that to it too. All right, so here's the chicken and pasta. And I will go ahead and do the same with pan. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the sauce to it. All right. All right. And then I'm going to mix this up. All right. So sometimes one of my philosophies for you guys to know is if I'm in the kitchen cooking, I might as well just do everything. So which is why sometimes I might make a whole behemoth sized meal of something. Because if I'm in here using the energy to cook from the electricity energy is what I mean, and ingredients, I might as well make more of it and then cook less later. So, and there is our chicken with like an Italian cheese sauce, we can just say. So that has a different flavor there. So you can kind of see how we started off with one thing, progressed to two. So we started off with just this as meat and sauce, and I went and added more, so it doesn't look as great. So this was just meat and sauce. And then we progressed to over here, which was just meat and vegetables. And I probably will add a little bit of sauce to that just to wet it up a little bit. But it's more vegetables. Oh yeah, no, I will add sauce to that. That'll get soft. And then I progressed to kind of like a macaroni and cheese with meat to a chicken. Ooh, let's add some with a chicken with an Italian sauce. So I'm going to add some milk to this, and I'm going to add some milk to this. Just so you know, when it's thick and sticky like that, you can add some milk into it. And I'm going to go ahead and cook that on the stove. And I'm going to add more sauce to those. So you play with it as you go, because like I said, cooking is an experiment. All right, I'm going to leave you two in here to put those 4 on the stove, and I'll be back in a minute, and you guys can put everything in the sink. And I'm going to go out here back to my computer out of the kitchen, because I know we need to wrap up. So I want to go back over to my computer and
You're muted. Christine, you're muted.
I just had to get a finger ready to unmute myself. Sorry. I was trying to see if I can go back to the computer to change it up, but I can't at the moment. So I want to wrap up. It's 12:18. I want to just see, does anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything else that they might want to know? I know I will email you the recipe for that macaroni and cheese so you can see how to make that sauce if you want. But if you don't, anybody, let me just go ahead and say, anybody have any other thoughts or questions? And thank you to Charles and to the other mom, I can't remember her name, that was on here from Scotland, that was adding to it. I appreciate you adding to the conversation. I hope that you've learned something, that I was able to show you a little something of how to make something that's not entirely from a box, where you're kind of limited to what they tell you to do. So yes, that was the double boiler. Did I say it was a double boiler? Oh, I don't remember what I said it was. All right. I just want to look in here. Oh, yes, the double boiler. All right. Oh, thank you very much, Charles, for posting that recipe. I didn't have anybody here to read the comments. Very good. All right, so thank you. Next month, I believe, is how to do laundry, which you might think is something that's simple to do, but it really is not. And I would love it if some of you from other states, countries are on, because I'd love to know what the difference is in doing laundry overseas in other countries as well. So I am going to go ahead and can I stop recording?